Blessing follow me, follow me. Alubarika, follow me, follow me. Plenty money, follow me, follow me. Fine lady, follow me, follow me. Nobody will no fit to make a move. Nobody will no fit to make a move. Nobody will no fit to make a move, sister.
FM 91.7.
Good afternoon. Welcome to The Big Question today with me, Otunba Olomofe, right here on WFM 91.7. The time is 3:01.
43.
Right, so we're back on The Big Question today, and I promised you yesterday that we were going to pick up from where we left off yesterday. Now, if you didn't catch yesterday's show, let me give you a quick recap. Yesterday, I decided that it was time on The Big Question to focus the spotlight on the inner Nigerian. We complain about a lot of things in Nigeria. We have a lot of issues, possibly very right to complain. However, you see, I have a varied objective here, point of view, let me call it that. That I believe, as they say charity begins at home. And it is important to understand ourselves as individuals. It is important to appreciate where we have shortcomings. And it is important to work to correct those shortcomings. I think it's important to do that because if you are having those challenges at this level, you can imagine if you're, for example, ever thrust in a position of power, it would not be pleasant for you. As Nigerians, we sometimes struggle with following the rule of law. As Nigerians, we sometimes struggle with even understanding the law. And I want us to discuss this. I want us to talk about ways where we can actually start solving our problems from the grassroots level. Yes, we talk about being our own local government all the time, and that's absolutely not what I'm referring to. I'm talking about morals. I'm talking about understanding right from wrong and actually taking action to do those things. I talked yesterday about, if you listened to yesterday's show, I talked about being in a Keke Marua with a driver and, giving him a little pep talk. Initially, he was a little, standoffish. But, I insisted that I wanted to have a friendly discussion. And, he let me in. We had a talk. And after that, he promised he wouldn't, break the law the way he did the first, when before we had the talk. Now, whether or not he does that, I think would be informed by how often he's reminded about that. We're human beings. We forget things. We're human beings. We have urges that we probably shouldn't have. And so I wouldn't judge somebody for doing something wrong. I would instead judge society for not consistently keeping it in mind. We need to keep each other in check. We need to help each other to grow. We talk about going to other countries, England, the US. You talk about going to those countries and enjoying your stay. They have their own issues there as well. But generally, you enjoy your stay. I think one of the reasons is because the society expects a certain standard, and the society makes sure that that standard is kept. It's not the government's job to come and make certain that certain things are done by citizens. They expect that normally you don't litter the streets. They expect that normally you don't jump queues. Those are things that are done. Those are things that are naturally done by people in society. And I think it's time that Nigerians began to do those things as a matter of duty to the fellow people around them. We talked about noise pollution here some weeks back. Noise pollution is not a government action. The people polluting the areas they live with noise are not government officials. I think it is time that we start to understand why we do the things that we do and then work against the things that are wrong. Someone called the show yesterday to complain about possibly his neighbors doing something that was uncomfortable for him for 5 years, and they've refused to listen. These are not things that the government at the top or the center or even your local government should handle. These are things that we should handle as citizens on our own. We'll take it to the government when we need to. But it's time that we talked about ourselves. There's another saying, you point a finger, 4 are pointing back at you. Or at least 3 are pointing back at you. And we need to understand that before we can criticize objectively, we have to do so from a point where we ourselves are, I want to put it this way, not blameless entirely, because I don't think there's any human being that can be blameless, but at least to be seen to be doing that which we should be doing. The FRSC was here some days back as well, and I respect the FRSC particularly. I think they do a very good job. There are parts of things they can correct. But if you do the right thing as a driver in Nigeria, the FRSC's job would be easier. Then perhaps they can focus on doing those things that we want them to do that they're not currently doing. But if we make life difficult for these people, then what are we expecting in the long run? How much time do we give government officials to actually do their job if they're not chasing Nigerians who are supposed to already do the correct thing? I had another experience with another Marua driver. I will tell you that shortly. It's very interesting. This is The Big Question. My name is Otunba Olomofe.
43% of our girls are married off before their 18th birthday, and 17% of under 15-year-olds are already married. Is this child abuse or religion acceptance? Hard Talk this Thursday, 14th April, brings back a part 2 of child marriage in Nigeria. Join us as we weigh in on this extremely important issue with the Executive Chairman of Muslim Public Affairs Center, Mr. Kamal Disu. Hard Talk and Child Marriage on WFM 91.7 this Thursday at 11 a.m. Send in your questions to our social media platforms: Facebook, WFM 91.7, and Twitter at WFM 917. Hard Talk, talking hard on issues affecting you.
I'm Esther Alma. Welcome. You're listening to The Spin. Join me every Friday, 1 p.m. for an hour where our all-women media panel talk global politics, policy, social justice, gender, race, love, all through the lens of the media. The Spin, an hour where smart is always and also sexy. 1 hour, one mic on WFM 91.7 every Friday, 1 p.m. The Spin with me, Esther Alma.
For all the latest news, reports, statistics, match reviews, and in-depth analysis from the ever-exciting world of sports, tune in to Sports Radio on WFM 91.7 Mondays to Fridays by 5 p.m. and on Saturdays by 1 p.m. Get all the key moments from the exciting world of football, athletics, basketball, tennis, motorsports, swimming, combat sports, and so much more. Air your views on the program by calling the studio lines or reach us through our Twitter handle at WFM 917. Sports Radio on WFM 91.7, the home of sports.
I'm only one call away.
Let us break the culture of silence together every weeknight on WFM 91.7 by sharing and proffering advice on adult conversations. On adult conversations. Join me, Fumi Jean, 10 p.m. till midnight here on WFM 91.7, the voice of women.
Let's Marvin Gaye and get it on. You got the healing that I want. Just like they say in the song. Till the dawn, let's Marvin Gaye and get it
on. Make your evening a fantastic one on the Evening Experience with Bisola on WFM 91.7, 4 to 9 p.m. Monday to 9 Friday. Monday to Friday. The Evening Experience is a potpourri of fun, music, edutainment, and lots of laughter. Evening Experience on WFM 91.7. The voice of women.
Be empowered, be equipped, get the skills you need to make money, especially in a tough economy like this. The Business Lounge with me, Otunba Olomofe, and WFM 91.7 present a 12-week Saturday-only web design and digital marketing course. Get trained by the best in the business. Classes will run from May 7th to July 23rd, 2016.
Standard fee, 67,000 Naira only. Early bird fee, men, 27,000 Naira. Women, 20,000 Naira. Early registration ends Thursday, 28th April 2016. To register, text REG to 0818 45 77033. Get empowered, get paid.
This event is powered by the Business Lounge on WFM 91.7, the voice of women.
Good afternoon. This is The Big Question with me, Otunba Olomofe, right here on WFM 91.7. So I've been talking to you about societal values and societal actions that, as far as I am concerned, need to be changed at the grassroots level, need to be changed at the nuclear level. And if we want to have a Nigeria that we enjoy, we need to start from scratch. Yeah, that's my view. Certainly, I welcome yours, and I want solutions. One way or the other, whatever you think will work, please do call in and talk to me about it. I have a guest in-house today. It's the first time on The Big Question. Never had a guest before. And the reason he's here is because of his background. I want him to do justice to this topic with us. I have with us today Otunba John Yomi Olomofe. He's a seasoned journalist of 30 years. He's a public affairs analyst. And he's also, particularly interesting to me, a humanitarian service professional. He's past president of the Rotary Club of Ajara. And today's big question is why he's here. Being a humanitarian, I remember that from when I was a young man. My father was also in the Rotary Club. It was something I looked up to. It was something that I aspired to be like. In fact, the Rotary Club is on my back right now. They want me to join them officially, to work as a humanitarian service provider. And I think it's especially important. I think it connects directly to the topic that we have at hand today. And the topic is this, big question for today, is how can society work together to bring back a Nigeria that we all enjoy living in? That's today's big question. And Otunba Yomi is going to help us do justice to that. Can you say good afternoon to everybody, sir?
Thank you, Kole. Good afternoon, listeners.
Yes. So, we talked about the big question. How can society work to bring back a Nigeria we all enjoy living in? Numbers to call, 07000 917 917 and 0902 562 5455. You can also text us on 070 317 56537. Good afternoon. Welcome to The Big Question.
Good afternoon.
Hello, Mr. Ambrose.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
I'm sure that Mr. Olomofe must be your brother.
Well, he's a long lost cousin. I'm not even actually sure we're related. But he was in the Rotary Club with my father.
Wow.
Yes.
God bless you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes. It's a big question.
Yes, sir.
I don't know how to put it. You are in a society where you want to do the right thing, and you suffer for it. You are policemen are holding people. You say you are not going to give bribe, and you see other people giving bribes, and they tell you other people have come and gone, and then you insist. Though they will release you, but you suffer for it. You want to get driver's license, people are bribing. They don't want to give you, and then the road safety holder, you tell them, look, I've been looking for, I don't want to pay this money. They tell you that is not an excuse. Suffer for it. You are in a queue, and then people are passing one way, and then I remember when I was in Alagbole, you will be on the queue, and these buses, commercial buses and some private, they will enter the other side, and they will escape, and then you are hooked up. You will suffer for it. You are in the business environment. I remember several years ago, I was calling some of my friends to assist me. We were doing the same kind of job, but I refused to do what they were doing. And I was now picking them to survive. And one of them gave me good money then, and then from the same money, I did some business that they don't want to do. And I'm giving.
There's some, Ambrose, there's some distortion on your line. Yeah, it's distorting. Could be wind or something.
That's why it's not even since morning. You could say I didn't get through this morning.
Okay, you are having a problem.
The thing just didn't go. So if it's not clear, let me cut it.
Please, yes, please. It's giving us a bit of. Just call back as soon as you can. Yeah. So I want to pick up from what Ambrose was saying, Otunba. Right. These challenges are there. They are bound.
Right.
And on the big question, I'm more about solutions. That's what we are about.
Exactly.
What do we do?
Right. You say, for me, I think we almost have to go back to the basics.
Okay.
We must revisit the family system.
Okay.
We must take our time to begin from the family level to inculcate values into one another.
Okay.
And then we need to take it from that point to our work places, to our worship places. And now you don't have to be a Christian or a Muslim to do good, to live an exemplary life. We must understand that to fix our society, to make our country a place everybody wants to look forward to living in, is to do the right thing. The right thing is to start with abiding by set rules. Why do you want to drive against traffic? You need to get to point A from point B, or you need to get to point B from point A. You have to set out on time. You don't leave your engagements until the very last few minutes and then begin to run helter-skelter to make that appointment. You have a 2 p.m. appointment 5-6 kilometers away from your residence or from your office. You know you need to set out at least an hour ahead of it, taking into cognizance the traffic situation, taking into cognizance that you are not going to be the only motorist on the road between point A and point B. So for me, we must re-examine ourselves. We must ask the fundamental question, am I doing the right thing? Have I done the right thing? Now, if I know I'm not doing the right thing, where do I find the moral basis to correct others who are also not doing the right thing? If I'm doing the right thing and I see my neighbor not doing the right thing, if he does it first time, he sees the countenance I'm wearing, he does it the second time, he sees it, I'm sure he too will begin to realize that, look, each time I do this thing, my neighbor isn't happy about it. It's about time I stop. And so we must begin from the family levels. We must, as heads of family, as members of our family, we must set the right examples.
All right. I love that. I love that. I was scribbling very crazily here, trying to get down some of those points. Very, very valid points. Let me take a call real quick. Good afternoon. Welcome to The Big Question.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes, this is Olaolu.
Olaolu. Okay. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Ogun State. The guy called.
Oh, you called yesterday. You were the guy that said your neighbors or your area there was water flowing in?
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah. Go ahead. 2 minutes. You got 2 minutes.
Okay, I think I just want to give an hat up to what the guest speaker has been saying.
Okay.
And I think I came on it yesterday talking about it starting from the family.
Yes, you did.
Yes, and I think with what he has just said, that is just the first thing we need to get to check ourselves with.
Okay.
And I think the problem is, the solution is when we can see that I have committed a sin. All of these are sins. When you go for the kitchen, doing all of those things, all of these are sins. So the moment you get to see this, that I have sinned, then one, you're being able to hit the nail on the head. And the point is, okay, am I ready to forsake it? So if you are ready to forsake it, then definitely you will be ready to listen to corrections. You'll be ready to let people talk you through it. Ready to obey. Then you will want to put actions into it, like, okay, is this the best way to correct it? Okay, I want to. And even if you're not doing it to the fullness, and everybody will be like, at least he gives a try, he wants to do it, he needs to do it. Then before you know it, everybody will know this person is different. And if you are very important in the community or in the society, then everybody wants to play along with you. No matter what, nobody would always, everybody cannot be the same. And you will definitely find those that will definitely support you. It may take time, but before you know it, the wings is going to change and everybody will be like, oh, this is the best way. And even it's so much that even when they can't even come out and say it, They go into their corners and they say it.
All right. I'm enjoying you, but unfortunately your 2 minutes are up. I'm enjoying that. I'm going to refer to a couple of those things. Thanks for calling in. Good afternoon. Welcome to The Big Question.
Hello. Good afternoon, Mr. Big Question.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, comrade.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
I think I will go with the analyst in the studio.
Okay.
Mr. Kunle, we talked yesterday. I told you yesterday on air. See, the basis of this problem we are having actually starts from our immediate family.
Yes.
Because if I can be able to fix my family morally, like the last caller said, everybody cannot be the same. Yes, we know. Even when we are not going to be the same on the same page, but we should at least be close to what we are actually wanted or needed in our society. Let's fix our home. Let's stop doing something that will break down our home and scatter our children. 2 children will be in Kafanchan, 1 will be in Lagos, the mother will be in Kano, while the father is in Abuja. I mean, what are we talking about? And we claim that to be a family. There's a problem there. And let the religious bodies, the church and other religious organizations start taking cognizance, putting people on the right path. Not only when somebody comes to pay tax of 1 million, 2 million, then he can go ahead and do whatever he wants in the society without asking questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, comrade. Very succinct. Otunba, you mentioned this off air, didn't you? Right. Exactly what comrade just said.
Yeah, you say the institutions that builds value can be enumerated. The family, your places of worship, and then you can then go on to the societal institutions. If, as a Christian and a teacher, you are conscious of what you earn will guide what you are able to give.
Yes.
And this is the value we're talking about. If you are a teacher, you cannot justify having fleets of cars. You cannot justify having estates all over, housing estates all over the place. Where will you say you have drawn the means for all of those material things? Now, to get our values right, we need to go back to the basics. A teacher needs to understand that as a teacher, he is not expected to be unduly affluent. The civil servant needs to understand, because in the days of yore, you'll agree with me that civil service as a calling is not a wealth spinning calling. And so, if you run your tour of duty as a civil servant, yes, you're not expected to go spend the rest of your life in penury, but also you're not expected to live a flamboyant life, displaying wealth that you cannot justify where it has all come from. And so this is why I say that we need to take pride in what we are and who we are. We need to find fulfillment in what we are and who we are. And it is only when this is done, and this will then take us back maybe some 40, 50 years ago, when you're not looking forward to being any other thing outside of being the principal, which is the culmination of your career as a teacher. You're not looking forward to being anything other than maybe a director, which is the culmination of your career as a public servant.
In those days, this used to be the things of pride.
Exactly. And that is why you find that values are more sacrosanct in those days. Now, what we have now is a situation where everybody is in a hurry. And even those who are not equipped to get to the topmost rung of the ladder are doing every desperate thing to find themselves.
But I have a question about that. Right. They are doing every desperate thing to find themselves at the top of it. Is that not as a result of society, celebrating people who are wealthy and then ignoring those, like you said, people who
hardworking. Yes,
hardworking.
exactly.
So how do we break that? How do we crack that knot? Because it's a knot.
We need to go back to the communal settings.
Okay.
You live. Somebody just called in, I think, from Alagbole or so. You live in Alagbole. Your work is not more than 8 or 10 max kilometers from where you live, such that you may not necessarily even have to go by transport. Okay, and so all of the folks in Alagbole know one another, and so nobody will just come into Alagbole and begin to flaunt ill-gotten wealth that he cannot defend and justify. The folks in Alagbole will not accept him because they will see him as a negative influence on themselves and their children, and in fact on their ways of life that they have become used to. And this, we take this to our places of worship also. You just can't rise up one day and say you want to endow a mosque with, God knows it, $1 million, $10 million bequeath, because you need to go to places of worship where you are known, where you have been seen as you are rising in your career trajectory. And so if we can go back to that basics, one, the urge to want to amass wealth will be drastically reduced, because where will you spend it?
Who will you flash it to?
And then hard work will become the mantra. Hard work will then become the reference points. So I think this is where to start from. I think what we must do is reintroduce into the curriculum of our schools, especially formative schools, talking about primary school, secondary school, and maybe the first 2 years of post-secondary education. We must reintroduce civics. We must reintroduce studies.
Hold that thought, sir. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Big Question.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Hello, Mustafa.
Thank you very much. You see, yesterday, I'm trying to say something relating to this issue, but they cut me off, and I've warned the media industry, telecom industry again. It's the question of evil versus good in this Nigeria. You cannot know yet. You will soon know, because you have a very good media. And you two are coordinating a very good program. You see the effect of goodness in this country. You are effect of doing good in this society. You need to realize a lot of variable opposition, which is not even as a sign of ingratitude reward for your act of goodness. So it's only enforcement of the rule of law that will save Nigeria. That is why I stand to defend the rule of law in this Nigeria. God bless Nigeria.
Thank you so much. Remember, you can send us text messages on 073 as 0703 175 6537. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Big Question.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yes.
Yes, sorry, it's only calling back.
Okay.
You told me attend to, if possible, attend to the case I made mention of.
Yeah, I told you I was going to work on something and get back to you. Okay. I guarantee you I'll give you a response. I can't do that today because we have a guest in house, but I'll give you a response tomorrow. I guarantee that.
Okay.
All right then. Okay, thank you, Olaloa. Thank you. Yeah, Otunba, I wanted you to finish this point you were saying about reintroducing civic studies. Exactly. Remember back in the day we had, some things like it. Suddenly they just disappeared.
Yes,
can you pick up from that?
Until we get back to that, even our wards, our children won't come back home from their schools with the values we expect. Because they will not have been impacted with those values, because those values are no longer in their curricula. And there must also be a synergy. In the days of yore, there was a close synergy between the home, the school, and the church, or your place of worship, as the case may be, because we had even Islamic schools. There was Anwar Islam in Lagos. There was Ansarudin College, and all of that. So there used to be very close synergy between the home, the school, and the place of worship, such that there is a seamless inculcation of values into growing up children in at these three levels.
Interesting, sir, because I always wondered why I have the values I have. And it's because I grew up in an era where this, what you just said, was.
We have to go back to that. And then we have to understand that we are as accountable for whatever situation we are in as the government is. The government cannot fix everything. As a matter of fact, we must position ourselves to complement efforts of government at fixing things. If government on its own puts a model in place, and those saddled with responsibilities of running that model fails to run it properly, it will be unfair to go back to government, to fault government. And so I'm of the view, arising from my experiences in humanitarian service, that government only exists for us to collaborate with. We cannot leave the whole of our destinies in the hands of government.
Fantastic point, sir. Fantastic point. Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to The Big Question.
Thank you. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Ife.
On yesterday's topic.
Yes.
Yeah. Nation building. So I'll say nation building is not a one-man business.
Okay.
Nigeria belongs to every Nigerian and not just our leaders. And I believe that as a good follower, they're also potential leaders.
Okay.
We need to be more patriotic, and we can achieve this by being less self-centered.
Okay.
We can be less self-centered by looking after the interests of people around us and not looking after our own interests. I don't know if I have sufficient time.
Yeah, you have. I think you have at least one more minute.
Okay. I'll manage it. If you are not started with the responsibility of being a patriotic citizen of this country, then indirectly we are constituting a nuisance to our society. There was one book I read about Archimedes, scientist, who once said, "Give me a place to stand, and I will leave the earth." Yeah, that phrase he made actually got me into thinking about if I, as a person, is being given a place to stand, how can I lift my country? How can I lift my world? Exactly. So I don't think there's any need for us, or maybe any kind of position we need to hold to be able to make impact on the life of our fellow citizens.
Okay.
In any little way, we can be of assistance to the less privileged ones out there. It will go a long way.
All right.
To make that person a better person.
All right. Unfortunately, your 2 minutes are up. But I know you'll call back again. All right. Thank you so much, Ife. Thank you. Very, very apt contributions as always. I have a lot of points. I've been scribbling away. I'm going to take one more call before I let Otunba actually finish with that thought. Good afternoon. Welcome to The Big Question.
It's a big question. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Michael calling from Texas.
Oh, hello, Michael.
Yes, I'm very fine.
Good. You actually have 2 minutes.
I'll be very brief.
All right.
Very brief.
Okay.
My little contribution is I will comment that we should focus more on the financial intelligence campaign.
Okay.
Rather than all these professional education of a thing.
Okay.
Because when people are not financially literate, the little money they are even making, they misuse it. You get it.
When
you are financially literate, I believe you are, how do I put it now? But just my point is that financial literacy is very, very important. Thank you.
All right. I like that point. I'm going to pick up on that as well. You're listening to The Big Question with me, Otunba Olomofe. Stay tuned.
43% of our girls are married off before their 18th birthday, and 17% of under 15-year-olds are already married. Is this child abuse or religion acceptance? Hard Talk this Thursday, 14th April, brings back a part 2 of child marriage in Nigeria. Join us as we weigh in on this extremely important issue with the Executive Chairman of Muslim Public Affairs Center, Mr. Kamal Disu. Hard Talk and child marriage on WFM 91.7 this Thursday at 11 a.m. Send in your questions to our social media platforms: Facebook, WFM 91.7, and Twitter at WFM 917. Hard Talk, talking hard on issues affecting you.
A fantastic one on the Evening Experience with Bisola on WFM 91.7, 4 to 9 p.m. Monday to 9 Friday. Monday to Friday. The Evening Experience is a potpourri of fun, music, edutainment, and lots of laughter. Evening Experience on WFM 91.7. The voice of women.
I'm only one call away.
Let us break the culture of silence together every weeknight on WFM 91.7 by sharing and proffering advice on adult conversations. On adult conversations. Join me, Fumi Jin, 10 p.m. till midnight here on WFM 91.7, the voice of women.
Let's Marvin Gaye and get it on. You got the healing that I want. Just like they say in the song. Till the dawn, let's Marvin Gaye and get it on.
The Financial Girl by WFM 91.7 with the HIM model on health, insurance, and money. The HIM model aims to equip and develop 50 selected girls between the ages of 15 and 30. The Financial Girl, giving a lifelong mentorship on her health, insurance, and wealth. To register, visit www.wfm917.com/The Financial Girl. The Financial Girl, Lagos Oriental Hotel, Nigeria. Saturday, 21 May 2016.
For all the latest news, reports, statistics, match reviews, and in-depth analysis from the ever-exciting world of sports, tune in to Sports Radio on WFM 91.7 Monday to Friday by 5 p.m. and Saturday by 1 p.m. Get all the key moments from the exciting world of football, athletics, basketball, tennis, motorsports, swimming, combat sports, and so much more. Air your views on the program by calling the studio lines or reach us through our Twitter handle at WFM917. Sports Radio on WFM 91.7, the home of sports.
Right, welcome to The Big Question with me, Otunba Olomofe, right here on WFM 91.7. I have a guest in-house, Otunba John Yomi Olomofe, seasoned journalist and humanitarian. He's been giving us some very powerful points. I'm going to take a couple of calls. Good afternoon. Welcome to The Big Question. Hello. Good afternoon. Welcome to The Big Question. All right. Try to call back on 07000 917 917 and 0902 562 5455. You can also text us on 0703 175 6537. That's 0703 175 6537. Good afternoon. Welcome to The Big Question.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
My name is Gabriel.
Gabriel, right?
Yes.
Where are you calling from, Gabriel?
Magboro.
Magboro, okay.
Yeah, I wish to ask one question.
Sure.
Are we sure we have accepted we have problem, we have a challenge? And if we accepted we have a challenge, it becomes easier to solve. But this issue is our level of consciousness. Because the solution to the issue lies with all of us, all Nigerians. Because the answer to the problem is not in one individual, not in one group.
Yes.
And we need to work together. And when we are all cautious, we raise our consciousness at a level where we think to see the need to adjust, to work on ourselves. So that's the issue. We need to realize our level of consciousness at our homes, in schools, in churches, in our workplace. And now appreciate that there's need for us to work on ourselves, that we have a challenge. Then we start adjusting gradually. So arrive at the point where this place will be a better place for all of us.
All right. Thank you very much, Gabriel. That's a very deep point. It's very deep one indeed. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Big Question.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, okay. So my name is Ben. I'm calling from Surulere.
Ben from Surulere. Okay.
Yes. Yes. Nation building, right?
Yes.
I just been in now. Okay.
Yes.
You see, in this country, I have a little challenge because we, as a Nigerians, do we believe that this country will go beyond 50 years to come? That's the big question, because if we have that mindset of building Nigeria like America, everybody, every one of us should just have one mindset of believing anything you are doing now is not going to be immediately. That is, you want to make it easy and make it immediately. If you really want this country to go forward and you want this country to go beyond 50 years to come, we need to start now. We need to be when they look at Emeka, this is my brother. We are building this country together. When Emeka look at Musa, that this country cannot fail. We need to join hands together and build it. So that is this is that day. Therefore, I'm just from this part of this country. Emeka is building his son, believing that this part of it, because we don't believe this country is moving forward. And this are being caused by the leaders trying to tell us that we are not one. Because by the time someone will go there, say, after all, my own is after that, when my own will go, I'm going to pick mine. You see, that's the problem. And that's why everything is going down. When a new government take over, the opposition, instead of trying to play good opposition, they will be playing a position of bringing the government down. So that they will take over. You see, if we can have this mindset of making Nigeria 50 years, 100 years to come, we will start from us. It will start from our house, from the street we are living in. We'll start from building this nation, start from the family. It doesn't start outside there, it starts from the family. Telling your people that, yes, this country, we are going to build it together. This country is so. We have conscious of building. We have conscious of believing that Nigeria will exist more than what the world are believing that maybe in the next few years the country will divide into two. No. If we, Nigeria, will decide to hold hands together, I believe we're going to build this country.
Thank you so much, Ben. Thank you. That's, as far as I'm concerned, very fantastic contribution. I want to round up, give Otunba the last word here. Otunba.
Right.
What do you have to say?
Well, in one word, we must understand that once we have fixed the family level, 50% of the task at hand is achieved. And having fixed the family level, we then need to understand what our national ethos is. We need to understand what our roles and duties are as citizens. And then once we understand all of this, we'll be able to then walk in the light that we are expected to walk in. And this is to say that we won't do things that even we will know. For everybody that does the wrong thing, he knows it. And once we're able to do all of that, we then know that we have a country that we want to bequeath onto our children and children's children, and we then begin to also sustain the values from the family front up through the workplace and the worship place. Because when you look at it in the real sense of the word, I don't see it beyond a triangular setting.
Okay.
Your home, your work, your place of worship. In between this, the skills you acquire along the line. From between the home and the work, you have to have acquired some certain skills. Going to school, learning some vocation, and all of that. And once you have done all of this, you take that from the home to your workplace. And the belief you have, your religious persuasion, where you practice your religious persuasion, where you widen your spiritual horizon, is another school that drives whatever you do in the society. If we are able to go back to what it was in this country about 40, 50 years back, the propensity to do wrong will be drastically reduced. And then we will then be seen to have sincerely commenced the onerous task of nation building.
Nation building and change.
Exactly.
We all screamed for change.
Exactly.
But I think when we were screaming for change, we were thinking government will change us.
Government can't do it alone.
Can't do it alone. We can't do it alone.
As a Rotarian, I can tell you that Rotary spends millions of dollars, not one of it sourced from government. And so until we begin to look at it from this side, government essentially should just put the model in place. How and what we do with the model is left with us.
I like that, sir. What you do with the model that government puts in place is left to us.
Exactly.
But, I guess there are some models that still need to be put in place by the government. We'll get to that. But there are already some models in place. Somebody called and said, what's our, he was alluding to what's our maintenance culture, for example. If Lagos State government or Ogun State government builds a road or creates something, do we actually maintain it as citizens of the country, or do we just, are we carefree about these things?
I'll tell you what we need to do quickly.
Okay.
As we do in Rotary, Rotary, because the resources we expend on the needy is limited.
Okay.
We undertake stringent needs assessment.
Okay.
So you don't find us spending money or doing things where they are not appreciated or where they are not needed.
Okay.
And so what you find Rotary do are things that are needed, things that will be well maintained, things that will be looked after by those who are the beneficiaries. And I think this is an extension of what we should do with government also.
Okay.
Whatever government puts in place in any community, be it infrastructure, be it name it, it's not there for government as an abstract to benefit from. It's there for the people in the physical to benefit from. And what they now do with it is up to them. If government gives you a facility that ordinarily should last 50 years and you mess it up in less than 10 years and you start going back to government to come
to fix it, we're actually adding to the problem.
We are in like the government's fault. So for me, I think, yes, government can do some more, but we also need to do a lot more.
All right.
As a people.
Thank you, sir. Be final word. There's so much content that I was scribbling and I had to be handed another sheet of paper because I was scribbling so many ideas and, comments that were made that are actually very fact-based. I hope you enjoyed the show today. I certainly did. Also, I want to say thank you again very much for making this, making it today. Ambrose asked whether we are related. I don't know. We are still on that issue.
We'll get to that. When we're off air.
We're still on that issue, whether we're related or not.
We'll get to that.
But I remember, there were a few things you said about my father that you knew.
My father?
Yeah, and your father, and the way you spoke about them, there's this pride that comes from just remembering how they lived. And, every time that I get on air, I remember, my father would be proud of this or he would not be proud of that. And that is what spurred me on. And I'm trying to pass that to my children. And that's where you go back to the family values. Family values. The question is today, what are you doing in your family to make your nation better? What do you tell your children to make them better Nigerians? We need to start from scratch. And that scratch is your family, my family. This has been the big question on WFM 91.7. You need to remember always, be proud of Nigeria and make Nigeria proud of you.
Shangisha, Shangisha, hit. Shangisha, hit. Shangisha, Shangisha, you be local government unto yourself, If you dey protect your area, you be local government by yourself. If you dey give yourself electricity, you be local government by yourself. If you dey vigilante your family, you be local government. Definition of government, that the people will hold the power for one environment. Definition of government, that the people will come together to protect their environment. If it today your environment, and the people will hold the power, them they fraudulent. Make you not mind anybody when they tell you, say you be victim of a consequence. As you dey flex for your parliament, make you remember, say no condition is permanent. Every man is a government.